Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. My friends, despite everything that has happened, I am still hoping that somehow Disney can save Star Wars. Star Wars recently took a half step in the right direction with Skeleton Crew, a show that in its first 2 episodes seems to go light on agenda, a little heavier on plot coherence, and even manages to have a spot of fun here and there. I say a half step because it's still not the kind of rollicking space opera action for all ages that Star Wars desperately needs if it's going to be saved, but it is at least a modest improvement over Obi-Wan Kenobi and a radical improvement over The Acolyte, 2 series that were like nails in the Star Wars coffin. In another spot of good news, Andor Season 2 is coming, and the word I'm hearing is that the second season of Andor is pretty good, continuing Season 1's more mature take on Star Wars. But my ongoing complaint about Star Wars under Disney is, even when it is pretty good like Andor was, it still doesn't have the essential quality that defines Star Wars in the 20th century. Fun, escapism, romance and thrills. Where have all those things gone, my friends?
Andor was a great take on the heist/spy/small unit military assault genre. It had a kinda Where Eagles Dare vibe. It was probably the best written Star Wars show to date. And yet, it got very dark and dystopian at times, and fun moments were few and far between. I liked it, but when you remember what Star Wars is supposed to be, it wasn't.
Until Disney recaptures that sense of joy, Star Wars will continue to languish, and as it turns out, languishing is an expensive condition to be in. Forbes recently broke a story titled, "Disney's Overspending on the Acolyte Pushes Star Wars Costs to $2.9 billion. And in this story, they analyzed data disclosures for Star Wars productions in the UK, making a case that these expensive productions are dramatically impacting Disney's bottom line when it comes to that galaxy far, far away. In this article, they write, quote, "Disney's overspending on Star Wars spin-off The Acolyte has pushed the total cost of its movies and shows about the sci-fi saga made in the United Kingdom to $2.9 billion according to the media giant's latest filings," unquote. For some reason at this point in the article, they go into the old tired audiences rejected The Acolyte because they're a bunch of istophobes who review bombed it, yada yada yada, the same old song and dance. Hey, as someone who watched the damn show, I assure you, it just plain sucked. It didn't make any sense, and it was boring. When that happens, you get a reaction that looks a lot like review bombing. However, if it was simply review bombing from disgruntled bigots, then Disney wouldn't have canceled it after 1 season. But the ratings didn't lie, nor did the enormous expense of the show, as the article points out, quote, "The clearest evidence that it wasn't a commercial success came when Disney scrapped plans for a second season just over a month after the curtain came down on the first one. It proved to be an expensive experiment. The Acolyte stayed within its set spending levels before filming began, but blew its budget after the cameras started rolling. According to Disney's filings, by September 24th, 2023, its costs of $207.8 million put it on track to be over the production budget, even though it was only part of the way through post-production. Last year, Disney's spending on The Acolyte came to $164.6 million, which represented around 85.7% of the total cost of its UK-based Star Wars productions, with the exception of the second season of hit streaming series Andor, which has yet to file its 2023 financial statements. Since Disney bought Star Wars creator Lucasfilm for $4 billion in 2012, it has made 3 sequel movies in the UK, along with 2 spin-offs for the silver screen and the 2 streaming shows. As the graph below shows, Disney spent $141.7 million on its UK Star Wars productions in 2022, bringing its total costs so far to $2.7 billion. Then came the blockbuster budget of The Acolyte, which drove the spending in 2023 to $192 million and pushed the total to $2.9 billion, unquote.
Holy moly, Doomcock, that's a spicy financial meatball. And it's not even the total cost of Disney Star Wars productions, because this is only accounting for a production shot in the UK, and not all Star Wars projects have been shot there.
That's right, Harvey Cthulhu. And bear in mind, Forbes only has this data because of the very strict budget disclosure requirements for productions shooting in the UK, which is then publicly available. Disney shoots there because the UK provides some excellent financial benefits for productions in the UK, specifically certain reimbursements, which can be up to 25.5% of the money spent in the UK, provided the production company meets certain criteria. But that's why Forbes has access to this UK data that Disney is forced to disclose, whereas the US data is not available. Now, the big question here is, folks, has Disney made money on Star Wars since its purchase? Here are some figures to help you make the call, because this is a very complex question. Quote, according to industry analyst Box Office Mojo, Disney's 5 Star Wars films grossed $5.93 billion, putting its approximate 50% share of the spoils at $2.97 billion. 50%, my friends, because the box office takes about that much, and the rest goes to Disney. The net spending on those 5 films was $1.93 billion, giving Disney a profit of $1.04 billion at the box office. However, that's not the end of the story. Marketing costs are not shown on the financial statements of the UK production companies, as they tend to be covered directly by the studio. This spending eats into the profit made at the box office, whilst revenue from merchandise and home entertainment, which also goes directly to the studio, tops it up. Streaming shows can't be included in the profit calculation, as subscribers don't specifically pay to watch each one, but instead are billed a flat fee which gives them access to all the content, unquote. My friends, given the absence of US financial data at this point, it's difficult to assess whether or not Disney has made a profit from Star Wars after all these years, even considering the expensive failure of the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel. But articles like this make it clear Disney has spent an awful lot on Star Wars, and it seems to me at the very least this has not paid off in terms of fan satisfaction or recruiting new fans. The fan base is more splintered and discouraged than ever, and in big picture terms, that is the worst part of this equation. My friends, you cannot buy a franchise and then alienate the fans of the franchise. What is the point of that? It's like marrying a man and then trying to change everything about him. Why did you marry him in the first place if you didn't like anything about him? It's the same problem. As I've said, I really want Disney to succeed with Star Wars. I want Star Wars to rally. I want them to get back to making good entertainment, and that's really all I want. I just want some good entertainment. Is that so very much to ask? And a lot of fans feel the same way. Well, those that haven't entirely given up all hope and moved along to other things. My friends, sometimes it feels like I am the last person in the fan base that is actually hoping and praying that Star Wars will rally and that Disney will succeed in making it. So many others have given up in disgust. Echo Base Network has changed their channel away from being a Star Wars channel to covering a broad variety of other things, including boxing, for God's sakes. This is not a good development. It's a sad and sorry state of Star Wars, my friends, and that should be factored into the ultimate cost, because really, the fans are the most valuable asset that Star Wars has. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. ha ha ha